Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of Earth's Pride and watched the stars stretch into lines as the ship dropped out of faster-than-light travel. After 6 months of flying through empty space, they had finally reached the Kepler 442 system. This was humanity's first journey beyond their own solar system, and Jake felt the weight of history on his shoulders. "Captain, we're getting some unusual readings," said Lieutenant Amy Brooks from her station. She was the ship's sensor operator, a young woman with sharp eyes and steady hands. "There are massive energy signatures coming from the third planet." Jake walked over to look at her screen. The readings showed huge structures in orbit around a blue-green world. These weren't natural formations. Someone had built them. "Are we looking at alien technology?" Jake asked. Dr. Lisa Martinez stepped forward from her medical station. She was the ship's chief medical officer, a brilliant woman who had volunteered for this mission to study alien life. "The energy patterns don't match anything we know about. This has to be artificial." Commander Rick Thompson moved to Jake's side. Rick was the security chief, a tough man who always expected trouble. "Captain, we should be careful. We don't know if they're friendly." Before Jake could respond, the communication system began beeping. Lieutenant Brooks quickly worked at her controls. "Captain, we're receiving a transmission. It's in multiple languages, but our computer is translating it." A calm voice filled the bridge. "Unknown vessel, you have entered the territory of the Zephyrian Empire. Please identify yourself and state your purpose." Jake took a deep breath. This was the moment humanity had dreamed about for centuries. "Open a channel," he ordered. "Channel. Open, sir." "This is Captain Jake Morrison of the Earthship Earth's Pride. We are explorers from the planet Earth, seeking peaceful contact with other intelligent species." There was a pause before the alien voice responded. "Earthship, you are welcome in Zephyrian space. I am Ambassador Zeltar of the High Council. Your species is unknown to us. This is most interesting." Over the next hour, Jake exchanged basic information with the aliens. The Zephyrians controlled 12 different species across this part of the galaxy. They had been spacefaring for over 3,000 Earth years. They seemed curious about humans, but not hostile. "Captain Morrison," Ambassador Zeltar said, "would you and your crew accept an invitation to visit our flagship? We would like to meet you in person and learn about your people." Jake looked around the bridge. Dr. Martinez nodded eagerly. Rick looked worried but said nothing. This was why they had come so far from home. "We accept your invitation, Ambassador." 2 hours later, Jake found himself walking through the corridors of an alien ship. The walls were made of some kind of crystal that glowed with soft light. The ceilings were high, designed for beings much taller than humans. Everything was smooth and elegant. Jake brought a small team with him. Dr. Martinez carried her medical scanner and sample kit. Rick kept his hand near his weapon, though he hoped he wouldn't need it. Lieutenant Brooks came along to record everything they saw. Ambassador Zeltar met them in a large chamber filled with other aliens. Jake had to stop himself from staring. The ambassador was nearly 8 feet tall, with long limbs and skin that looked like polished stone. His large eyes seemed to glow with their own light. "Welcome, humans," Zeltar said. His mouth didn't move, but somehow they could understand him perfectly. "You are the first new species we have encountered in over 200 years. Other aliens gathered around them. Jake saw beings that looked like walking trees, creatures covered in bright scales and things that seemed to be made of living metal. All of them stared at the humans with curiosity. "Your biology is fascinating," said a smaller alien who introduced herself as Dr. Xanath. She was the Empire's chief scientist. "We have never seen anything quite like human physiology." Dr. Martinez stepped forward. "We would be happy to share information about our biology. On Earth, we believe that scientific knowledge should be shared freely." "Excellent," Dr. Xanath said. "It is our custom when meeting new species to exchange biological samples. This helps us understand each other better and prevents any accidental harm from biological incompatibility." Jake nodded. This seemed reasonable. "What kind of samples do you need?" "Simple things. Hair, saliva, a small amount of blood. Nothing that would harm you. In return, we will provide samples from our species." Dr. Martinez opened her sample kit. I can provide those samples right now. She used a small device to collect a few strands of hair from Jake's head, then took a saliva sample from her own mouth. Finally, she pricked her finger with a sterile needle and collected several drops of blood in a small container. This is human blood, she explained to Dr. Zaneth as she handed over the samples. It carries our immune cells and nutrients throughout our bodies. Dr. Zaneth accepted the samples with obvious excitement. Thank you. We will analyze these in our laboratory and share the results with you. Please join us for a meal while we work. The next hour passed pleasantly. The aliens served foods that looked strange but tasted surprisingly good. Jake learned that the Zephyrian Empire was peaceful, focused on trade and scientific research. They seemed genuinely interested in friendship with humanity. Then the screaming started. A horrible, inhuman shriek echoed through the ship's corridors. Emergency lights began flashing, and alien voices shouted in languages the humans couldn't understand. Ambassador Zeltar's glowing eyes went wide with terror. Something is wrong in the laboratory. They rushed through the crystal corridors toward the source of the screaming. Jake's heart pounded as they ran. Rick had his weapon drawn, though he didn't know what good it would do. They burst into the laboratory to find chaos. Several aliens stood around a table where a young Zephyrian scientist writhed in agony. Jake could see that the alien's hand was dissolving. White smoke rose from the creature's flesh as it literally melted away. What happened? Dr. Zaneth shouted. Another scientist answered in a terrified voice. Valkyrie was analyzing the human blood sample. He accidentally spilled some on his hand. It's burning through his flesh like acid. Dr. Martinez pushed forward with her medical scanner. Let me help him. No. Dr. Zaneth grabbed her arm. Don't touch him. The human blood is still active. They watched in horror as the young alien's entire arm began to dissolve. The blood ate through his flesh like it was made of soft wax. Other scientists tried to help by pouring water on the wound, but nothing stopped the terrible process. The young alien's screams grew weaker as the human blood spread through his system. Within minutes, he stopped moving. The proud young scientist was dead, killed by a few drops of human blood. The laboratory fell silent except for the sound of alien breathing and the quiet hiss of dissolving flesh. Dr. Zaneth stared at the dead scientist, then turned to look at the humans with new eyes. Your blood is poison to us. It destroys our tissue on contact. Jake felt sick. They had come in peace, hoping to make friends with alien species. Instead, they had accidentally killed someone with their own biology. We didn't know, Dr. Martinez said quietly. Human blood isn't dangerous to us. We had no idea it would hurt you. Ambassador Zeltar stepped back from the humans. For the first time, his calm manner was gone. Jake could see fear in those glowing eyes. If human blood can do this, Zeltar said slowly, then humans are walking biological weapons. You could destroy entire populations just by bleeding on them. The implications hit Jake like a physical blow. Humanity had dreamed of joining a galactic community, but their first contact had revealed them to be monsters. Their blood was acid to alien life. Rick moved closer to Jake. Captain, I think we need to leave. Now. But it was too late. Alien security forces were already surrounding them, wearing protective suits and carrying weapons. Ambassador Zeltar spoke into a communication device in his own language. I'm sorry, he said to the humans, but you cannot be allowed to leave until we understand what this means. You may be the most dangerous species we have ever encountered. Jake looked at his small crew and realized that humanity's first contact with aliens had just become their first imprisonment. The emergency council meeting on Crystallis Prime began before dawn. Elder Vorthek sat at the head of the massive crystal table, his ancient face showing worry lines that had not been there the day before. Around him, representatives from all 12 species of the Zephyrian Empire gathered in the Great Hall. The news had spread fast. Within hours of the laboratory accident, every world in the Empire knew about the humans and their deadly blood. Fear was spreading faster than wildfire across the galaxy. Show them the footage, Elder Vorthak commanded. Dr. Zaneth activated the holographic display in the center of the room. The assembled leaders watched in silence as the recording showed young Velkri's death. They saw the human blood dissolve his flesh like powerful acid. They heard his final screams as the poison spread through his body. Several of the smaller species representatives made sounds of distress. The Etherian delegate, a being of pure energy contained in a crystal shell, flickered with agitation. Even the mighty Vorthon warriors, who feared nothing in battle, seemed disturbed by what they witnessed. "This is just one drop of human blood," Dr. Xanath explained to the council. "We have run tests on tissue samples from 6 different species. The results are the same every time. Human blood destroys all known alien biology." General Crixton of the Vorthon species stood up. He was a massive creature, covered in armor-like scales with claws that could tear through metal. "Then we must destroy them before they can use this weapon against us." "It may not be a weapon," said Elder Silthara of the Etherians. Her voice was like music, calm and thoughtful. "The humans seemed as shocked as we were. They may not have known about their blood's effects." "It doesn't matter if they knew or not," General Crixton growled. "They are dangerous. Every human is a walking biological weapon. One human with a small cut could kill hundreds of us." Dr. Xanath brought up more data on the holographic display. "Our analysis shows that human blood contains several compounds that are toxic to our biology. Their immune system is incredibly aggressive. It seems designed to attack and destroy foreign organic matter." The crystalline delegate, a being made of living mineral, spoke in a voice like grinding stone. "How is this possible? How did one species develop such deadly biology?" "We believe it comes from their planet," Dr. Xanath replied. "Earth appears to be unusually hostile. The humans evolved alongside diseases and parasites that would kill most other species. Their blood became a weapon against these threats. Unfortunately, it also became a weapon against us." Elder Vorthak looked around the table. "What are our options?" "We could try to contain them," suggested the aquatic delegate, whose water-filled suit bubbled as he spoke. "Keep them in their own part of space away from our worlds." "And if they refuse to stay contained?" General Crixton asked. "If they decide to expand and colonize our worlds? A single human colony ship could wipe out entire planets just by existing near us." The room fell silent as the implications sank in. The humans had faster-than-light travel. They could reach any world in the Empire within months, and their mere presence would be deadly to alien life. "There is another problem," Dr. Xanath said quietly. "We don't know if human blood is the only dangerous part of their biology. We haven't tested their saliva, their sweat, or other bodily fluids. For all we know, everything about them could be toxic to us." This caused new waves of fear around the table. If human blood was deadly, what about their breath? Their tears? Could humans kill aliens just by being in the same room? Meanwhile, aboard the Zephyrian flagship, Jake Morrison and his crew sat in their sealed quarters under heavy guard. The aliens had moved them to a special isolation chamber designed for dangerous biological materials. They could see out through thick, transparent walls, but no alien would come near them. Dr. Martinez worked at her portable computer, trying to understand what had happened. "I've been thinking about this," she told Jake. "Our blood evolved on Earth to fight off infections and parasites. Maybe it's too aggressive for alien biology." "Too aggressive is an understatement," Rick Thompson said grimly. "We just killed someone by bleeding near them. How do we explain that to Earth?" Lieutenant Amy Brooks was monitoring alien communications. "Captain, I'm picking up transmissions from all over their empire. The word is spreading fast. They're calling us biological weapons." Jake felt sick. They had come seeking friendship and discovery. Instead, they had become monsters in alien eyes. "Any word on what they plan to do with us?" "Their communications are becoming encrypted," Amy replied. "But what I can understand sounds like they're debating whether to kill us or imprison us forever." Back on Chrysalis Prime, the debate continued through the night. General Crixton had gathered support from the more aggressive species. They wanted immediate action against humanity. "We should strike now while they're still weak," he argued. "Their ship records show they only recently developed faster-than-light travel. They probably have few ships and limited weapons. We can End this threat before it begins. And become genocidal murderers in the process, Elder Silthara replied. We would be destroying an entire species because we fear them. Is that who we want to be? The insectoid delegate, speaking through rapid clicking sounds that were translated into common language, raised another concern. What if they can create artificial versions of their blood? What if they turn it into weapons deliberately, Dr. Xanath nodded grimly. That's possible. If humans understand their blood's effect on us, they could weaponize it. A single drop in our water supply could kill thousands. They could coat their weapons with it. Even their medical waste would become a weapon of mass destruction. The debate grew more heated as fear overcame reason. Species that had lived in peace for thousands of years began talking about preemptive war. The humans had become the ultimate threat without even trying. Elder Vorthak finally called for quiet. We need more information before we make any decisions. Dr. Xanath, can you study the humans safely? With proper precautions, yes. We have built a sealed laboratory. We can test their other biological materials without risking contamination. Do it. And find out everything you can about their home, world, and their technology. If we're going to make a decision about their fate, we need to understand them completely. As the council session ended, 3 different factions had formed. General Crixton led the war faction, demanding immediate military action against Earth. Elder Silthara led the peace faction, arguing for diplomatic solutions. A third group, led by the pragmatic trade minister Zolketh, wanted to use the humans' dangerous biology for their own purposes. Think about it, Zolketh had whispered to several delegates. If human blood is deadly to all biological life, it could be the ultimate weapon against our enemies. The Dominion has been threatening our borders for decades. A few drops of human blood could end that threat forever. Over the following days, Dr. Xanath worked carefully in her sealed laboratory. The tests confirmed everyone's worst fears. Human. Saliva was also toxic to alien tissue, though less deadly than blood. Human sweat contained compounds that cause severe allergic reactions in most species. Even human tears could cause chemical burns on alien skin. They are completely incompatible with all known life, she reported to the council. Every part of their biology is designed to attack foreign organisms. They are living weapons, whether they intend to be or not. The report sent shockwaves through the Empire. Riots broke out on several worlds as civilians demanded protection from the human threat. Some species began building bunkers and biological shields. Others started developing weapons specifically designed to fight humans. And in the depths of space, Earth continued to send out exploration ships, completely unaware that their first contact had marked them as the most dangerous species in the galaxy. The fragile peace of the Zephyrian Empire began to crack under the weight of fear, and humanity found itself at the center of a crisis that could reshape the entire galaxy. The emergency message from Earth's Pride reached Earth 3 days after the first contact incident. President Helen Carter sat in the White House Situation Room, surrounded by her top advisors, as they listened to Captain Morrison's recorded report. Human blood killed an alien scientist on contact, Jake's voice said through the communication system. They're treating us like biological weapons. We're being held prisoner while they decide what to do with us. Earth needs to prepare for possible hostile contact. The room fell silent after the message ended. General Paul Richardson, head of the Space Defense Force, was the first to speak. Are we sure this isn't some kind of alien trick? Dr. Amanda Foster, Earth's leading expert on space biology, shook her head. The medical data Jake sent supports his story. Our blood evolved to be aggressive against foreign organisms. It makes sense that it would be toxic to alien life. President Carter looked around the table. What are our options? We need to assume they're going to attack us, General Richardson said. If they see us as weapons, they'll try to destroy us before we can use those weapons against them. Colonel Steve Baker, the military's top strategist, pulled up a holographic display of Earth's defenses. We have 12 ships capable of faster-than-light travel. The aliens have been spacefaring for thousands of years. If they want to destroy us, we can't stop them with conventional weapons. Dr. Foster stood up and walked to the display. Maybe we don't need conventional weapons. If our biology is deadly to them, We need to understand how to use that advantage. You're talking about weaponizing human blood, President Carter said quietly. I'm talking about survival, Dr. Foster replied. If they attack us, we need every advantage we can get. Over the next week, secret research facilities across Earth began studying human biology as a weapon. The work was disturbing but necessary. Scientists collected blood samples from volunteers and tested different ways to deploy them against potential alien threats. The results were encouraging and terrifying. Human blood remained toxic even when dried and powdered. It could be loaded into projectiles, sprayed as a mist, or used to coat weapons. Even tiny amounts were deadly to the alien tissue samples they had received during first contact. Lieutenant Danny Parker volunteered for the first weapon tests. He was a Special Forces soldier, young and brave, who understood the stakes. In a secure testing facility, he allowed scientists to draw his blood and load it into various weapon systems. The blood-tipped bullets work best, reported Dr. Nancy Adams, the project's lead scientist. Even a small scratch from one would be fatal to alien biology. The blood mist dispersal system could clear entire alien ships. But the research revealed something else. Not all human blood was equally toxic. People with certain genetic markers had blood that was particularly deadly to alien life. Dr. Foster discovered that about 10% of humanity had what she called super toxic blood. It's related to our immune system genetics, she explained, to the military leaders. Some people have more aggressive immune responses. Their blood is like concentrated poison to alien biology. Commander Susan Wells, a naval officer who had been assigned to the project, raised an uncomfortable question. Are we talking about breeding programs? Creating more people with toxic blood? Let's focus on the immediate threat first, General Richardson said quickly. The idea of breeding humans as weapons was too disturbing to discuss openly. Meanwhile, Earth's remaining spaceships were being retrofitted with biological weapon systems. The cargo ship New Frontier became the first vessel equipped with human blood dispersal systems. Captain Ben Rodriguez and his crew practiced deployment procedures, knowing they might need to use them soon. The psychological impact on humanity was severe. Children began asking their parents if they were monsters. Religious leaders struggled to explain how God could make humans into biological weapons. Some people felt proud of their deadly nature, while others felt ashamed and frightened. In the Kepler system, Jake Morrison and his crew remained prisoners aboard the alien ship. But they weren't idle. Rick Thompson had been studying the alien guards, looking for weaknesses. Dr. Martinez continued her research, trying to understand exactly how human biology affected aliens. I've figured out why our blood is so deadly to them, she told Jake during one of their private conversations. Their biology is based on completely different chemical processes. Our immune cells don't just attack their tissue, they break down the basic molecules that keep them alive. How long do you think we have before they make a decision about us? Jake asked. Amy Brooks looked up from her communication monitoring station. Their encrypted messages are getting more urgent. I think something big is about to happen. She was right. Back on Crystalis Prime, General Crixton had gathered enough support to authorize military action. The war faction had won the debate by spreading fear throughout the Empire. The humans are too dangerous to leave alive, he announced to his assembled fleet commanders. We will strike at their homeworld before they can develop biological weapons. This is not murder, it is survival. Elder Silthara made one final plea for peace. We could establish quarantine zones, keep humans and aliens separated. There has to be a way to coexist. There is no coexistence with a plague, General Crixton replied. Would you try to coexist with a virus that could kill your entire species? The Zephyrian war fleet began assembling. Hundreds of ships from across the Empire gathered for the largest military operation in their history. Their target was Earth, a small blue world that had become the most feared place in the galaxy. But 3 species refused to participate in the attack. The Etherians, led by Elder Silthara, declared that genocide was against their fundamental beliefs. The Crystalline Assembly said they would not participate in the destruction of a newly discovered species. The Aquatic Confederation withdrew their ships, claiming the attack was morally wrong. For the first time in 3,000 years, the Zephyrian Empire was divided. General Crixton commanded 9 species in his war fleet, but the Empire's unity was shattered. On Earth, long-range sensors detected the approaching alien fleet while it was still weeks away. President Carter addressed the world in a historic broadcast. "My fellow humans," she said, looking directly into the camera, "we face the greatest threat in our species' history. An alien empire has decided that our very existence is too dangerous to tolerate. They are coming to destroy us not because of anything we have done, but because of what we are." She paused, letting the weight of her words sink in. "But we will not go quietly into extinction. Our biology, which they fear, will become our greatest weapon. We will show them that humanity does not surrender. We will show them that sometimes the smallest species can be the deadliest." Across Earth, people prepared for war. Volunteers lined up at recruitment centers, offering their blood for the defense of their world. Scientists worked around the clock to develop new biological weapons. Engineers modified civilian ships to carry human crews and their deadly cargo. The irony was not lost on anyone. Humanity had dreamed of joining a galactic community, of learning from advanced alien civilizations. Instead, they found themselves preparing to fight for their right to exist. Jake Morrison watched from his prison cell as alien ships gathered around him. He knew that somewhere out there, Earth was preparing to defend itself. He hoped his world was ready for what was coming. Chuck. First interstellar war was about to begin, and it would be fought with the most primitive weapon of all, human blood. Admiral Kate Morris stood on the bridge of the Earth defense ship Luna's Shield and watched the alien fleet approach through the darkness of space. The enemy ships looked like floating crystals, beautiful and deadly as they moved in perfect formation toward Earth's solar system. "How many ships are we looking at?" she asked her tactical officer. Lieutenant Tony Garcia checked his sensors. 437 alien vessels, Admiral. They outgun us 50-1. Kate nodded grimly. Earth's defense fleet consisted of only 12 proper warships and 36 converted civilian vessels. Against any normal enemy, they would be crushed in minutes. But this was not a normal battle. "Remember," she announced over the fleet communication system, "we don't need to destroy them all. We just need to make them bleed." In the alien fleet, General Crixton prepared his forces for what should have been an easy victory. The humans had primitive weapons and few ships. This would be over quickly. "All ships maintain formation," he ordered. "Do not allow any human vessels to come close to you. Use long-range weapons only. We must not risk contamination." But General Crixton had made a crucial mistake. His fear of human biology had made him cautious, and caution would cost him dearly. The Battle of Luna began when the alien fleet entered the outer solar system. Kate Morris had positioned her ships near the moon, using its gravity to help accelerate their attacks. The first wave of human ships charged directly at the alien formation. Captain Ben Rodriguez commanded the converted cargo ship New Frontier. His crew had loaded the ship with thousands of containers filled with human blood mixed with water. As they approached the alien line, they began spraying this deadly mixture into space. The aliens opened fire with energy weapons that could destroy normal ships instantly, but the human vessels had been modified in ways the aliens didn't expect. Instead of thick armor, they carried multiple backup life support systems. Instead of heavy weapons, they carried biological warfare dispensers. The New Frontier took a direct hit that would have destroyed any normal ship. But instead of exploding, it broke apart into smaller pieces, each one leaking human blood into space. The cloud of toxic biological material spread rapidly through the vacuum. 3 alien ships flew through the contaminated area. Within minutes, their crews began dying as trace amounts of human blood entered their air systems through microscopic hull breaches. The ships drifted helplessly as their crews dissolved from within. General Crixton watched in horror as his carefully planned attack turned into a nightmare. "All ships pull back from the debris field," he ordered. "Maintain maximum distance from human vessels." But Kate Morris had anticipated this reaction. She ordered the second wave of her attack. 12 small fighter ships, each crewed by a single volunteer, shot toward the alien fleet at maximum speed. Lieutenant Sarah Kim piloted one of these suicide ships. Her small vessel carried no weapons except for herself and her deadly human biology. She aimed directly at the alien flagship. "For Earth," she said quietly, as alien weapons tore her ship apart. The explosion scattered her blood across the hull of General Crixton's command vessel. The blood ate through the alien ship's outer armor like acid through paper. Emergency alarms screamed throughout the vessel as the hull began to fail. General Crixton ordered immediate evacuation to a backup ship, but many of his crew didn't make it. The pattern repeated across the battlefield. Human ships died quickly, under alien fire, but each death created a cloud of biological contamination that made the space around Earth increasingly dangerous for alien life. Captain Laura Hughes commanded a modified destroyer called Earth's Fury. She had developed new tactics specifically for fighting aliens. Instead of trying to survive the battle, she used her ship as a delivery system for biological weapons. "Target their largest ship," she ordered her weapons officer. "Load the torpedo tubes with blood canisters." The torpedoes didn't carry explosives. They carried pressurized containers of concentrated human blood. When they struck alien ships, they burst like biological bombs, coating the enemy vessels with deadly human fluid. One torpedo hit the alien ship Crystal Dawn near its engine section. The blood spread quickly across the hull, eating through armor, and contaminating the ship's life support systems. The crew tried to seal off the damaged sections, but it was too late. The human blood had already entered their air recycling systems. Within an hour, the Crystal Dawn was a ghost ship. Its crew had died in agony as human biology poisoned their atmosphere. The ship continued to drift through space, a warning to other alien vessels about the cost of fighting humans. General Crixton realized his mistake too late. By trying to keep his ship safe from contamination, he had made them sitting targets for human biological attacks. Every time they destroyed a human ship, they created a new hazard that made the battlefield more dangerous. "We need to change tactics," he told his remaining fleet commanders. "Concentrate all fire on their largest ships. Destroy them from maximum range." But the human fleet had one more surprise. Admiral Kate Morris had been hiding her most dangerous ships behind the moon. These vessels carried the ultimate biological weapon. Volunteers with the most toxic blood that human science could produce. Commander David Stone led this final attack wave in the heavy cruiser Terran Pride. His crew was made up entirely of humans, whose blood had tested as extremely toxic to alien life. They called themselves the Poison Squad. "All ships direct assault on the enemy flagship," Kate Morris ordered. "Make them remember why they feared us." The Poison Squad ships charged directly into the heart of the alien fleet. They took massive damage from concentrated alien fire, but they kept coming. Their hulls cracked and split, venting atmosphere and human blood into space. The Terran Pride rammed directly into General Crixton's second command ship. The collision destroyed both vessels, but it also created a massive cloud of human biological material right in the center of the alien formation. The results were catastrophic for the aliens. Ships that had been safely fighting from long range suddenly found themselves surrounded by contaminated space. Their filters couldn't handle the biological contamination. Their crews began dying as human blood entered their air systems. General Crixton watched his mighty fleet fall apart. Ships fled in all directions, trying to escape the spreading contamination. Many crashed into each other in their panic. Others shut down their life support systems entirely, preferring suffocation to the agony of human blood poisoning. Back in the Kepler system, Jake Morrison and his crew used the chaos of the battle to escape their prison. During an emergency evacuation drill, Rick Thompson overpowered their alien guards. The aliens were so terrified of human blood that they didn't fight back effectively. "We need to get to the shuttle bay," Jake told his crew as they ran through the alien ship's corridors. Behind them, they could hear the panic spreading among the crew as news of the battle reached them. They fought their way to a small alien scout ship. Dr. Martinez had studied the alien controls during their imprisonment, and she was able to activate the basic systems. As they flew away from the alien flagship, they could see other alien ships retreating in disorder. "Look at that," Amy Brooks said, pointing at the tactical display. Their whole fleet is falling apart. The Battle of Luna was over, but it had changed everything. The aliens had lost over half their fleet, not to superior human weapons, but to human biology itself. The survivors limped back toward their home territories, carrying tales of horror that would spread throughout the galaxy. Earth had won its first interstellar war, but the victory came at a terrible cost. The solar system was now contaminated with human biological material, making it dangerous for any alien species to approach. Humanity had saved itself, but in doing so, had become even more isolated from the rest of the galaxy. The war was over, but the real consequences were just beginning. 5 years after the Battle of Luna, Captain Jake Morrison stood on the observation deck of the human colony ship Terra Nova and watched another world become humanity's. Below them, the planet Kepler 438b stretched out like a blue-green jewel, empty and waiting. "The Zephyrian colonists abandoned this world 3 months ago," reported his second officer, Lieutenant Maria Santos. "Just like all the others, they left when they heard humans were coming to this system." Jake nodded sadly. This was the 15th world that aliens had abandoned rather than risk contact with humans. The galaxy now treated humanity like a plague that spread from star to star. Dr. Lisa Martinez joined them at the observation window. She was older now, with gray in her hair, but she still served as humanity's chief expert on alien biology. "I've been monitoring their evacuation signals," she said. "They're calling us the Silent Death. They believe we kill everything we touch." The war had ended not with a peace treaty, but with the creation of the biological exclusion zone. It was a vast area of space where humans and aliens agreed never to meet. The border was marked by automated warning stations that broadcast the same message in 100 alien languages. Human territory, biological contamination zone, approach means death. But the exclusion zone wasn't enough to contain human expansion. As Earth's population grew and technology advanced, humans needed new worlds to colonize. Every time they expanded beyond the zone's borders, alien colonies in nearby systems packed up and left. Admiral Kate Morris, now head of the human colonial fleet, had mixed feelings about this expansion. She commanded over 200 ships and had the power to claim any world humans wanted. But the cost was complete isolation from the rest of the galaxy. "We've become exactly what they feared," she told Jake during a private meeting aboard her flagship. "We're a species that destroys everything around us just by existing." The 3 moderate alien species that had refused to join the war tried to maintain diplomatic contact with humanity. Elder Silthara of the Etherians had worked for years to develop safe communication methods. They built robotic ambassadors that could interact with humans without risk of biological contamination. Through these robot messengers, humans learned what had happened to the galaxy after their victory. The Zephyrian Empire had fractured completely. Fear of humanity had torn apart alliances that had lasted for thousands of years. Some species demanded stronger military defenses. Others wanted to flee to distant galaxies. A few even suggested surrendering to humanity before they could be destroyed. General Crixton, who had survived the Battle of Luna, now led a militant faction that wanted to develop biological weapons to use against humans. They had tried for years to create artificial diseases that could kill humans, but Earth's aggressive immune systems defeated every attempt. "They're calling it the Great Terror," Elder Silthara explained through her robot ambassador during a meeting with President Carter's successor, President Robert Hayes. "Entire civilizations are abandoning their homeworlds and fleeing to other galaxies. The Milky Way is becoming a human galaxy by default." President Hayes struggled with the moral implications of human expansion. "We never wanted to be conquerors," he said. "We just wanted to explore and learn." "But conquest is what you achieved," the robot replied in Elder Silthara's translated voice. "Not through violence, but through fear. You have become the most powerful species in the galaxy without firing a shot after the first battle. This power came with unexpected benefits." Human colonies found vast resources left behind by fleeing aliens. Ancient alien cities became human settlements. Advanced alien technology was reverse-engineered and improved. Humanity advanced technologically faster than any species in galactic history. On the colony world New Boston, children played in parks that had once been alien gardens. They attended schools built in structures designed by beings they would never meet. These children grew up knowing they were the most feared species in the galaxy, and this knowledge shaped them in disturbing ways. Dr. Amanda Foster, now elderly, but still studying human genetics, worried about the psychological effects on the new generation. These children see themselves as natural weapons, she reported to the Colonial Council. They're growing up believing that might makes right, that fear equals respect. Some humans embrace their role as the galaxy's apex predators. Colonel Steve Baker, now a general, led the Human Expansion Corps. His soldiers took pride in their biological superiority and saw alien fear as proof of human greatness. "We are evolution's ultimate achievement," he told his troops during a deployment ceremony. "Every drop of our blood is worth more than a fleet of alien ships. We are the future of this galaxy." But not all humans were comfortable with their new status. A movement led by Dr. Martinez called for restraint and isolation. They argued that humanity should stop expanding and leave the remaining alien species alone. "We have hundreds of worlds now," she said during a debate in the Human Senate. "How many more do we need? How many more species have to flee before we say enough?" The debate was settled by a discovery that changed everything. Long-range human scouts found evidence of ancient alien civilizations that had gone extinct millions of years ago. Archaeological teams studied the ruins and made a shocking discovery. Dr. Henry Clark, the lead archaeologist, presented his findings to the world. "These civilizations didn't die from war or natural disasters," he announced. "They died from biological contamination. Something in their environment became toxic to their biology and killed them all." The implications were clear. Humanity was not unique in having deadly biology. Throughout galactic history, species had evolved biological weapons as natural defense mechanisms. But in every case, these species had eventually poisoned their own environment and destroyed themselves. "We're looking at our own future," Dr. Martinez warned the Colonial Council. "If we keep spreading our biology throughout the galaxy, we'll eventually contaminate so much space that we'll have nowhere left to go." This revelation sparked the great debate that lasted for 2 years. Humanity had to decide, continue expanding, and risk eventual self-destruction, or accept isolation and live within their biological boundaries. The decision came from an unexpected source. Jake Morrison, now an admiral himself, discovered a message left by one of the extinct species. It was carved into a monument on a dead world, written in symbols that took months to translate. The message was simple but profound. "We thought our strength made us great. We learned too late that our strength made us alone. Do not repeat our mistake." President Hayes called for a vote by all human colonies. The question was simple. Should humanity continue its expansion or establish permanent boundaries to protect both themselves and the remaining alien species? The vote was close, but the decision was made. Humanity would establish the Human Conservation Zone, a fixed area of space beyond which they would not expand. The remaining galaxy would be left to the aliens who still live there. Jake Morrison was chosen to deliver the message to the galaxy through Elder Silthera's robot ambassadors. "Humanity will expand no further," he announced. "We have learned that true strength is knowing when to stop." The response from the alien galaxy was mixed. Some species celebrated, seeing this as proof that humans could be reasonable. Others suspected it was a trick and continued their exodus to other galaxies. But slowly, over the following years, a new balance emerged. Humans controlled about a quarter of the Milky Way galaxy, while aliens held the rest. Trade between them was conducted entirely through robotic intermediaries. Cultural exchange happened through digital communications across vast distances. Dr. Martinez, now 90 years old, stood in her laboratory on Earth and looked at the last vial of human blood she would ever study. "We wanted to join the galactic community," she said to her young assistant. "Instead, we became something else entirely. We became the species that everyone fears but no one can ignore." Human children still played in alien-built parks, but now they learned about responsibility along with power. They understood that being The most dangerous species in the galaxy meant they had to be the most careful. The galaxy was divided, but it was at peace. Humanity had found its place in the cosmos, not as explorers or diplomats, but as the species whose very existence reminded everyone else that evolution could create wonders and terrors in equal measure. And in the vast silence of space between human and alien territories, automated beacons continued to broadcast their warning. Biological boundary. Cross at your own risk. Some boundaries exist for everyone's protection.